Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Talking Throttle. Before I go into anything, stop yourself right there. Stop yourself in your little hind tracks. If you haven't already and you are watching this YouTube, then come off this video, pause it. Can you subscribe and hit the subscribe button? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Throttle. For what I am hearing, not to say the girls ain't happy, but the girls ain't happy. We're in Texas this weekend, I believe, so stay with me as I break down the news headlines that we've heard this week and also what we can expect from the Texan/USA Grand Prix.
This ain't Texas, ain't no hold'em. Hey, lay your cards down, 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 down.
So, naturally, I think it's right. The first one we speak about this week is where we left off, which was last time we spoke, the McLaren boys crashed into each other. Piastri evidently wasn't very happy. He pulled out team radio when Zach was saying, well done. They started celebrating without him. So a lot of fans were saying a lot of things and it just didn't look great. I've just come to the conclusion that McLaren have got a bias towards Lando, because something that I picked up on when I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, Lando's from Bristol and McLaren's based in Milton Keynes, and then you've got the second driver who's from the other side of the bloody world in Australia. Not to mention the fact that Norris has been in the team for a lot longer. I think he's been with McLaren since 2019, maybe 2017, I can't remember. But he's been with them for a very, very, very long time. If you balance it out, you've got a driver who's been there for about 7 years, local boy, just from down the road, and then you've got another driver who's from the opposite side of the world and has only been there for 2 years. People in the factories and people that work for McLaren, they may have a slight bias towards Lando because one, he's British. There's always this talk of this British bias thing, isn't there? And then you've also got the fact that he's been there for so long. So that means he's built relationships, or he's got longer lasting relationships with people in the factories or in the team in comparison to what Piastri has. But I don't know how much more we can kind of go into this same topic. And I think moving forward, we've got 6 races left. The boys are literally gonna have to leave it all on the track. Which one? It's evident which one's been performing better than the other. Let's start there. Who would have thought by the end of the season I would have been a Piastri stan? But I'm here for it, do you know what I mean? I want to revisit something that I said to you guys a couple of weeks ago, and I've even said it to people outside of the podcast and in comment sections or whatever. And you guys have been calling me crazy. But Gunther Steiner went on a podcast this week and he echoed the exact, similar type of mindsets to what I've been saying for weeks. So this is what Gunther said. I guess Russell wants more than a 1-year contract because I guess Toto is playing at giving him a 1 year. So if Max becomes free or Max wants to leave Red Bull, I've got that place for Max and my child, Kimi Antonelli. Now, granted, I understand that this is all hearsay. It's just Gunther Steiner. It's just another team principal giving an opinion on another team. I've been saying this for weeks, though, is that the door's always been kept open for Max, and you guys have been calling me crazy. But at the start of the season, around the British Grand Prix even, so probably just before midway, there was rumours that Max was going to leave Red Bull to go to Mercedes. Those rumours did not come from nowhere. They came from somewhere, and then all of a sudden they got rid of Christian Horner. I have a whole video on the fact that Max was going to leave Red Bull and go to Mercedes, and then Red Bull said, we ain't letting that happen, so they got rid of Christian Horner as a result of that, hoping to make Max stay. After that, they then came off the summer break, and then that car suddenly started to find pace again. Not to mention, during the summer break, Toto Wolff and Max Verstappen were very, 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 very close. Why would you be close with someone who, prior to this, was publicly, everyone knew Max and George did not get on. Everyone knows that Max and George are not the best of friends. Now they probably are, but back then they definitely wasn't. However, the one thing or the one contributing factor that is still remaining that could make Max think, forget it, I'm going, is the new regulations that are coming next year. Nobody knows what the hell is going to happen. What we have heard, though, is that Mercedes apparently have a supersonic power unit that is apparently the speed of light, as Toto's hinted at so far. So I think it is what Gunther's saying, and as I've said in podcasts before, which you guys have called me crazy for, Toto is keeping the door open for Max, and it's evident. And I think the reason why George has taken so long to sign his contract is because Toto wants to give him 1 year as opposed to give him a multiple deal contract. However, if I was George, rightfully so, he has been performing well enough for him to warrant having a multi-year contract. Like, take Max out of the situation. Take the McLaren boys out. George Russell has been putting in consistent performances, first of all, regularly on the podium this season. Like, he's been on there a good couple of times now, not to mention the last race he won. I think he displays a level of maturity that I don't think other drivers have yet. I think he's one of the best, if not top. I'd argue he's one of the top 3 drivers. I would argue it. I would say the top 3 drivers in F1 right now, this is not in order: Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, George Russell. I wouldn't count Lando Norris in that top 3, personally. But we've got Austin, I think, next week. This is really coming down to the wire now. I'm really happy that somebody else has said it, because I've been saying this for ages now. Nobody else seems to be listening to me or even believing me. Everyone was saying I was crazy. I remember reading a comment a couple of weeks ago and somebody was like, no, Max isn't gonna leave Red Bull. Why would he leave Red Bull? It's the best team. Da, 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 da. Hello, Red Bull, yes, they're quick, but looking at next year regulations, there's only one team that's making noise. There's only one team that's getting excited, like, yeah, we're gonna be on something here. And it's Mercedes. You can't tell me that Max and Toto ain't been spending summers together because, oh, they're just friends. Please. Business is business. Business is always business in my eyes. Don't tell me you're just hanging out because we're friends. We're just hanging out because we're friends. Come on. We all know he's different than that, but he's going to sign anyway. This is the thing. And when we do have that F1 notification saying F1 updates come up, if he signs a multi-deal contract that goes beyond a 2-year period, then fair enough. But we are going to hear the news in the next couple of weeks. I think if not, I don't expect it to go beyond 4 weeks. 6 races left, which means I think we should be anticipating a lot of news coming up in the next couple of weeks. The other piece of news that I wanted to talk about, which isn't necessarily news, but it's something that we do need to keep revisiting because it hasn't been announced yet, and that's the second Red Bull seat. Originally, a couple of weeks ago, we did hear that Isaac Hadjar was in a number 1 running for the seat. As much as people are like, oh, the car's not designed for Max, it is, because if he's the only one that can drive it, how is the car not designed for him? They've had so many other second seat drivers in that Red Bull and nobody else can drive it aside from Max. The car's designed for Max. It's evident. It's not opinionated. It's proof. Baby! Proof is in the pudding, baby! I think Isaac Hadjar is going to get that seat, and I also think it's going to be announced within the next 2 to 3 weeks. If you are going to move over to Red Bull, now's probably the best time to do so with the regulation changes coming next year. Third on my list of news that I want to discuss today, Charlie. My good boy Charlie, she says wearing a Mercedes shirt. This is a Mercedes shirt from when Hamilton was driving with them. Why? No, because it's like we're not even racing this weekend. And as a Ferrari fan, I know I'm wearing a Mercedes shirt, get off my back. But as a Ferrari fan, I don't know how much more I can take anymore. I really don't know, because we weren't even racing anymore. And I heard these rumours a good couple of weeks ago, but I didn't really pay much attention to them until I heard more and more people say it. Because I've noticed with F1 pages in particular, especially fan pages, they will literally just make up an article and post it and people will just like it. It's just like honey and a bee, I think. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but here we are. Anyway, people will just post things in F1 and then people will just be like, oh my god, that's true, have you heard this rumour? Rumours are rumours. However, I didn't post about this earlier on because I didn't think it was true. Now I'm hearing it maybe, that Charles is looking to leave Ferrari and go for another team. What team? I don't know. A lot of people are saying he's been speaking to Mercedes, he's been speaking to McLaren. I've seen one post saying that he may do a swap seat with Oscar Piastri. If Oscar Piastri has any goddamn sense, he'll stay where he is and he won't go to Ferrari. However, I think after so many years of Charles being with Ferrari, essentially he's been with Ferrari his entire career. And I think for him, year after year after year after year after year after year after year, nothing's changing for him. And what is he now, 28? yeah, you need to kind of have a wake-up call, because you've got drivers like his ex-teammate Carlos Sainz, who has drove for McLaren, drove for Ferrari, and now he's at Williams. Carlos, obviously, when he left Ferrari and went to Williams, he didn't really have much of a choice in it, but Carlos has been dibble-dabbling with different teams. I think it's now time for Charles to do the same. I don't think the Ferrari has been good to him, which is unfortunate. Ferrari is a very delicate car, it's a very delicate team, it's a very delicate institution, is what I would call it. And it is a shame that he hasn't got more from driving a Ferrari car, considering how long he has been with them. I think as a fan of Ferrari, I'm gonna support Ferrari because of Lewis, naturally. But then for Charles, I do think it is time for him to kind of say, yeah, I've got to go. Because for the sake of your mental health, like every single... I looked at a post the other day that broke down Ferrari's results every single weekend this year. And every single race weekend, whether it be a team issue, whether it be a driver issue, whether it be a car issue, whether it be a strategy issue, there's always been an issue for Ferrari at some point during each race weekend. And for somebody like Lewis, okay, you're coming in, you've got new regulations coming in next year, you could actually make a difference considering how experienced you are, right? Whereas Charles, after how many seasons? It's time to go, because I think he's been there for like 7 years. Like, I think he's probably been with Ferrari just as long as Lando's been with McLaren. I could be wrong there, but still, yeah. Time for you to go. I don't know where, but I think if I was Charles, I wouldn't consider leaving until 2026. Don't leave until you see what other teams are saying. And I do also think, with that being said, a lot of drivers after the 2026 seasons are going to do a massive reshuffle. And I think we've seen a massive reshuffle a couple of years ago. It's been quite quiet now for the last couple of years. The names that I think could change dramatically. I think Max could go elsewhere. The Kvyat Cash App boys, so that being Yuki, Liam Lawson, and Isaac Hadjar, or them not, could be in different teams. George Russell could be in a different team. Charles Leclerc could be in a different team. Alonso may be retired at that point. I think Lewis is going to stay with Ferrari, as much as people are like, oh, he needs to leave Ferrari, did he make a mistake going there? No, because I think with Ferrari, he'll have the autonomy to do what he didn't have the chance to do at Mercedes. And as much as people are forgetting this, I think towards the end, Lewis got frustrated because they were doing things that he just didn't agree with, and he wanted that, come on, like, can we do what I say? Not to say he's gone to Ferrari and it's been any better for him this season, but come 2026, I'm hoping for a turnaround. So I don't think Lewis is going to go anywhere. Lando, I think, will always be the star boy. Whether Piastri stays with McLaren at the end of 2026, I don't know. So with that being said, I think a lot of the movements or a lot of the driver shuffles will come from the upper half of the pack. Not to mention, we still haven't mentioned the rookies that are coming up. The rookies that are coming up, the rookies that are looking for seats, and the two new teams that we are, not two new teams, but the one new team that we've got coming in, Cadillac. So that makes what? Instead of 10 teams, it's going to be 11 teams. We're going to have a lot of news articles come up in the next couple of weeks, i.e. that second Red Bull seat has to be announced, George Russell's contract has to be announced, Kimi Antonelli, also his contract needs to be announced. We've got the McLaren battle. It's all to play for in the land of Formula One. So this weekend, not only are we in Texas, everything's bigger in Texas, so they say, Texas Hold'em. It tends to be a good track for overtaking, so I'm hoping we get a lot of that, because I think that's what I really missed in Singapore, and I was expecting it in Singapore, but we never actually seen it. Bummer. Not to mention, this weekend, it's a sprint. Like, it's more racing. Come on! I haven't had racing last weekend, which means I'm going to get twice the amount of racing this weekend. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I love a sprint weekend. I didn't originally, I do now. It's more racing for us. In terms of my predictions now, Oscar, Lando, Max. I think Oscar's got a point to prove now. He's coming back and he's on a vengeance. He didn't have much to prove before the first half of the season. He was just racing. Now he's got a point to prove. I genuinely think we're going to see the making of a legendary driver in the next couple of races and the next seasons or two in the future. Like, I really think Oscar Piastri is like a stellar talent. Like, I love watching him race. I think Oscar's going to come out on top because he's got that point to prove. And Lando, also with a point to prove, is ready. Pew, 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 right behind him. However, the only thing that would stop McLaren from getting that 1-2 would be they're paid. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Are we not expecting a McLaren 1-2? Are we not expecting a McLaren on the podium? Who knows? I don't know. But stick with me, stay with me, come back with me next week as we break down what happens in Texas, because you know, everything's bigger in Texas. I'm very much looking forward to it, as I always am. But as again, if you have got to the end of this video, I really, really appreciate you taking the time out to do so. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know why I did that with my hands. I just did. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. But yeah, if you can do so, that would be great. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if anything, I will see you all again, as always, next week, Tuesday. Bye.
This ain't Texas.